All right, guys. Tonight we've got our top 10 movie franchises of all time. And Littlest Nelly, you're going to be kicking us off with number 10. Tell us who comes in at number 10 in our top 10 favorite movie franchises of all time.
You're going to be so surprised to hear this, but it's Toy Story. Starting us off with a childhood favorite that introduced us to the wonderful world of Pixar-Disney partnerships is Toy Story. There are 4 main films, several TV spin-offs and short films, plus an entire theme park ride. Toy Story is still going strong almost 30 years later with a new movie focused on Buzz Lightyear called Lightyear that is slated to come out later this year. If not for Toy Story, we wouldn't know about the rest of the Pixar universe, right? Like, I was rewatching Encanto again, and in the background there's a little Easter egg for a Wall-E boot in Bruno's house. How freaking cool is that?
Cool.
And all of that starts off with Toy Story and the way that they built this into their own little mini universe. But did you know that originally Woody was not going to be a cowboy? He was actually just a really, really rude ventriloquist dummy, but the execs thought that he was going to be too scary for a kid's film, which I think was the right call.
Yeah.
Kev, do you have our number 9?
I do. Yeah, I think ventriloquist doll would have been an awful choice there. Glad they
hard pass
on that.
Coming in at number 9, we've got Jurassic Park. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? An early example of the power of novel pre-reading rights, Jurassic Park lands at number 9. Before it even released, Universal bought out the novel rights to land in with superstar Steven Spielberg's trilogy of movies starting in 1993. Now, 6 total films, an animated series, more upcoming productions, and some of the coolest arcade shooters in history, Jurassic Park is a franchise to be reckoned with. Tell me, is Jurassic Park the first arcade game you run to, guys?
I love Jurassic Park at any arcade that I can have it. It's usually a ridiculous game, too, where you have to shoot like a T-Rex in the mouth like 50 times before it will just casually run away from you and not even kill it, like, because they have to use it later for some other part of the plot, you know. And then, like, oh no, a Spinosaurus is in the way. Shoot it 40 times in the foot before, running away. Like, even though it's usually like that. And then there's like those little like chicken ones, the little tiny ones that jump on you, and you're just like, do. Those are annoying as shit. But you get the full Jeff Goldblum experience in the back of a Jeep and everything. So yeah, it's one of the best ones, right? Let us know, have you played any of the Jurassic Park arcade games?
The Jurassic Parks are absolutely the first one that I run to, like, hands down. Also because they're always the ones with a really, really long line. So if you don't start it early, then you can't do it. And it's a pretty big bummer. But also, I'm very, very good at first-person shooters in arcades specifically. So that's my time to shine. That's where I went out.
There you go.
Well, Jurassic Park has nothing though on as far as a movie franchise on number 8 in there, just because it outnumbers it by movies and numbers of it, and just numbers of just absolute home run hit movies. Well, actually, Jurassic Park's catching up close with the Jurassic World series. But anyways, what's number 8, Little Snelly?
Number 8 is Planet of the Apes, one of my all-time faves. And if you are familiar with the Alamo Drafthouse, they have different themes. The Planet of the Apes Alamo Drafthouse, also my favorite one. They have a production history that is as complicated as anything that we've seen in COVID, with 9 total films in 3 different eras, a single-run TV show, a comic run by Marvel itself, and some of the most valuable 8-inch figurines to come out of the 60s. 8-inch figurines, by the way, always the most valuable. Just keep them in their box. Planet of the Apes is a favorite to talk about the world science gone wrong. It has a variety of different endings that they've added on that I think are always really, really cool and kind of talk about the state of the world by the way that the director sees it at the time. Always a really, really good lesson. But one of my favorite things is that Planet of the Apes is actually responsible for the best makeup category in the Oscars. When the film went to go receive awards for its first time in 1969, there was not a category for it. They made up an honorary award about the film's makeup to give it special recognition. So I don't want to hear anything from rumors about participation trophies, because they literally made up trophies just to give it to themselves. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the full Planet of the Apes? Have y'all gotten all?
I don't know if I've seen all 9 of them. I think I've gotten the Statue of Liberty. I remember seeing that. I definitely know I've seen all of the new of like the prequel series of like the Dawn of Planet of the Apes with like Caesar and all the ones, like the ones we have here right there. Oh man, those were some fantastic films too. Really, really, really good films. That whole series was absolute home run. I think so.
The original ending for Planet of the Apes was actually supposed to be much more optimistic, and then the directors started to see what was happening with the Vietnamese War, and that's when they decided that we were the people who destroyed Earth, and they completely changed it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like that.
Very, very cool.
Snaps for that fish. Yeah. 100%. Well, I've got number 7 here because it's been a really long running franchise here, and it's been a really, honestly, a very adventuresome and fun franchise, and one that has cost a hell of a whole lot of money. At number 7, I have the X-Men with 13 films, all living in the X-Men 21st Century franchise. It's no surprise there's a film of every type of theater genre, grossing more than $6 billion worldwide across films since 2000. X-Men helped reintroduce audience to a cooler superhero universe following the release of Blade and predating Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. One of X-Men's biggest wins was the casting of Hugh Jackman, who was previously considered too soft of an actor for superhero casting. A typecasting that would later do a 180 when he sought to leave the role of Wolverine. What do you hope to see with X-Men as rights with returning to Marvel, Littlest Nelly?
Oh, I hope we make the X-Men weird again, right? I feel like 21st Century made it like more serious. I want to see the kooky X-Men. I think you all know that my fave is Quinn Quire. He's truly just fucking weird. I fucking love him. I think he's great. So that's my plans. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I like the newer ones from First Class on. With the exception of Apocalypse. Yeah, I think I would like them to get back because that was the X-Men I remember. Like even as a kid, like the animated series was kind of, I mean, a little bit darker and serious, I guess, for the most part.
Yeah.
At least that's how I remember it. I could be wrong, but yeah.
I think that there's a ton of fun franchise. There's a ton of fun series that they could go with X-Men. There's a ton of fun different ways they could go with it. I think the biggest thing that I like coming out of the X-Men franchise is Deadpool. And Deadpool is hands down the best thing to come out of the series and to play around with it. And I hope that Hugh Jackman maybe have been retired from Wolverine, but I think that they can get him back for Deadpool 3. I think it can definitely happen. And we also know that Deadpool 3, I believe, was officially confirmed and is going to be in the Marvel Universe and will still be rated R. So
nice.
That is super duper duper exciting to see. So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about when it comes to X-Men's returning to Marvel. But evidently not as excited as anything coming out for number 6 in our countdown. What's number 6 in our countdown of greatest movie franchises of all time, Kev?
Yeah, number 6. We got Alien.
Yeah.
6 solo movies, yeah. 6 solo movies and 2 Predator crossover lists later. Alien hits number 6 on our list. A franchise unlike any before. Originally written as a movie to bring in a TV audience, the first film won audience over into many sequels and prequels. Xenomorphs have proven to be the most valuable IP of the franchise, with the Marvel comic releasing just last year and a new television series in the works. 43 years after the initial release, Alien continues to stun audiences with its creepy, cool look at invasions on Earth and beyond. The most applauded part of the series is how well written and complete the character of Ellen Ripley is, widely considered one of the best written female characters in all of cinematic history. As it turns out, that's because she was originally written as a man. Surprisingly. And one of the producers said, but do they have to be a man? Huh, interesting. How one question could, open a whole new world,
I mean, I think that's the question that is made why Femme Shepherd is such a great representation of a strong female character, because all the lines are written the same. She just is just treated equally is what it is, and it's a true showing of equality. And I think that is one of the first places we see that looked over and kind of considered in that way. Would you agree, Little
Yeah.
Snelly?
Absolutely. I had heard this fact a little while ago, and I went to rewatch Alien, and I was like, damn, that's like 100% true. There is nothing about her character that is gender dependent. And so when I looked up the fact that the producers were just like, hey, is this like necessary? Can we like make this a girl? Because also she really, really wanted Sigourney Weaver in the film, and Sigourney
Yeah.
Weaver was like, well, I'm not going to be a sideline character. I'm way too cool for that. So I thought it was pretty awesome. Yeah.
That's
That is
really
pretty cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that is what makes it so strong, and I think that is what makes Sigourney Weaver's portrayal of that of such a legendary one. And it's it's the first femshep essentially, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Femrep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hold on 1 second, y'all. And next, moving right along on this list, more importantly than number 6 is number 5 on their list, which is the Spider-Man trilogy trio. Yes, it's all together on this list, all as a trio together, because now, thanks to Spider-Man No Way Home, the Spider-Man trio is a trilogy of trilogies, almost trilogies, trilogy of almost trilogies, are considered a landmark in the renaissance of superhero films. Riding the Blade Wave, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy brought in new audiences that looked not just at the action bang-bang sequences, but a subplot featuring Mary Jane that brought romantic-seeking movie goers into the theaters. Sony's buyout of Marvel characters during the 90s proved to be a profitable adventure, and with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man only making it to 2 movies, there has been a huge revival to see him return to the role, and rumors of confirming his and Emma Stone's involvement in X Offices after, spoiler alert, his outstanding appearance in Tom Holland's Spider-Man No Way Home. Who's your favorite Spider-Man of all of the 3 in the last 20 years? Little Snelly, let's start with you.
It's hard because I have to say Tom Holland, but I do think that had Andrew Garfield been given his option for a 3rd movie, it might be him. We might not never know, but we also might know.
Yeah. No, I think that Andrew Garfield still has a chance to have a trilogy appearance that outperforms Tom Holland. But do you think that as it stands right now, Andrew Garfield is a better Spider-Man than Tom Holland, Kev?
No, I think Tom Holland's the best. So this is how I go. Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man, and Tom Holland is a nice blend of both of them, making him the best Spider-Man.
He's the peanut butter and the jelly.
Yes.
Together.
Yes.
Together.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. With a little slice of banana in the middle, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is a secret ingredient that people don't realize is really actually the best part of PB&J.
Bananas in your sandwich, man.
It's true. Especially if you fry it. If you ever have fried PB&J with banana slices, that's
you can also put
Tom Holland.
You can also add some honey on top of it. That's Zendaya, and her performance as Mary Jane is just absolutely fantastic, and you get that along with it, you know.
Well, Michelle Jones.
Michelle Jones, exactly.
Yes.
But yeah, the Spider-Man trilogy trio coming in at number 5, only number 5. But I think that I would definitely push it higher, but we couldn't get it any higher than this one, especially when you have big heavy hitters coming in. When you got to talk about movie franchises, you got to talk about, of course, number 4 on the list here, which is coming in just like this big missing spot on my wall. Hopefully will be filled with number 4 here shortly. Kev, what's number 4?
Number 4, we got the Kaiju King himself, Godzilla. Godzilla is a god among movie franchises, with 36 films starting from 1954 in Japan. Godzilla used to be accessible only through imported magazines, and in the 70s, Godzilla grew into a Marvel comic mainstay, battling S.H.I.E.L.D., the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four. With a crazy amount of collectibles, largely through Japanese toys powerhouse Bandai, the Kaiju is the most notable of all the giant monsters on screen and has almost 70 years of franchise history and crossovers everywhere. One of my favorites is the background character in Jurassic Park: The Lost World shouting, "I left Japan to get away from this," as the T-Rex rips through San Diego. How do you feel about Godzilla landing on number 4 of your countdown, Nelly?
I feel pretty good about it, knowing what all is on this list. But also, Godzilla is just truly incredible, even though no one shows enough love for Godzilla Jr., aka Baby Godzilla, because he's the cutest of all of them. He's pretty goofy.
He's annoying. I
love him. You're wrong. Weird. It's okay to be wrong.
If you can see behind me, there's a big spot that's blank on my wall. Can't really see too much of it because it's there, but it will be filled with custom signed Matt Frank pieces that I got over the Christmas holidays, with some wonderful Godzilla pieces, some crossover pieces of him meeting Rick and Morty, one where he's infected with a Venom symbiote, one where and then there's one with Gamera and the Ninja Turtles all together. So hopefully I'll get to show those off at some point in time. But a lot of fun. I mean, he is the Kaiju King, and Godzilla did come up with a banger last year with Godzilla versus Kong. I was King Kong the entire way, Team Kong the entire way, but for whatever reason, they decided to give it to the mainstay of the franchise. I don't think that was fair, but whatever.
Big facts, big facts.
Giant lizard that breathes radioactive dust.
Monkey with axe. Monkey with axe.
You really put the thumbs for big monkey with axe.
He got the big brain. I thought the big brain was gonna get it. I like the more intelligent thing. But
I'm not wrestling crocodiles. That's just me.
Maybe they're smart enough not to fuck with Godzilla.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, I like Grodd more. Yeah, see, Grodd. You've got Grodd too. That's a fun one.
Grodd's got telepathy. Never mind. We're going down.
We're going down.
We've already had our Godzilla episode, y'all.
Right.
We did.
But now that we're getting close to the top, we've got to talk about the kings, the big capones of all the whole situation, the kingpins of the situation. Tell us what comes in at number 3, littlest Nelly.
It's The Godfather trilogy. It's a masterpiece. But for real, if you don't know the history of American crime films, Godfather literally changed the game. It was the first of its kind to look at a mob family specifically in America over several generations of immigrants, rather than just kind of romanticizing this life in Italy of crime that all of the previous films had really been doing. We'd been looking to other Italian families and saying, oh, look at all of this life. The Godfather really focused on crime in America in a way that was like kind of realistic and like a romantic lens in the literal sense, not the like smoochy sense. But really changed the way that we did it. When it came out, it had over 50% of the market share of audiences that were buying tickets at the time. Can you imagine going into a theater and more than half of the people are there to see the same movie as you? It's literally crazy. And also, this was a time where people spent really, really big money. I think it was over like $10 million at the time in the 70s to buy the rights to show The Godfather over 2 separate nights on TV. It had 59% of the share of those audiences. Like, it was a huge game changer in the way that people watched film and the way that we looked at America as being a basis for storytelling through movies specifically. A lot of movie franchises were like, let's look to literally anywhere else. America isn't that interesting. We don't have that history. Yeah. The Godfather trilogy changed that. And the inspirations that it took from that were really, really incredible, including obviously Scarface, Goodfellas, and even Breaking Bad all took inspo from The Godfather and how they tell that story. But one of my favorite facts that I learned on TikTok the other way and had to Google a bunch to confirm because I didn't believe it, is that Francis Coppola, the director of The Godfather trilogy, also the father of Sofia Coppola, who directed The Virgin Suicides and other films like that. Francis Coppola is Nick Cage's uncle. Nick Cage and Sofia Coppola, cousins. It's like a whole family affair, and I feel like Nick Cage got the short end of the stick, y'all. Do y'all think he's the most talented of the Coppola family, now that we know they're all related, but maybe they made him change his last name? I don't know.
No, I don't think Nick Cage is talented at all. I think that Nick Cage is only good at playing
Don't
Nick
don't
Cage, and that's the
don't
only.
don't let Jake hear this.
Yeah,
I love Nick Cage so much.
I don't like Nick Cage at all. No, I think that anyone in his family has got to be more talented than him.
Well, we know Francis Coppola is.
No.
Oh man.
Mm.
Well, Don, can you take us to home with number 2? Or not home at all, actually. Can you take us into a galaxy far, far away?
Yes, very, very far, far away from here comes in the number 2 movie franchise of all time. If you're going to talk about movie franchises, you're going to talk about some big blockbusters, you got to talk about Star Wars. We couldn't have a list of all-time franchises without talking about Star Wars at number 2 on our list, only because someone had to be number 1. And Star Wars has 12 confirmed films with Rogue Squadron unreleased. 16 shows and 4 specials, countless video games, comics, and selling more than $65 billion in revenue over the franchise's lifetime. Just $5 billion short of Mickey Mouse with over a 50-year head start. Originally, George Lucas wanted to kill off Han Solo at the end of Return of the Jedi, but he thought it would hurt toy sales, so they flipped it to the big Ewok party. Can you imagine Star Wars without Han Solo? I mean, honestly, you kind of can. There's a lot of things that I feel like build up to his character dying in Return of the Jedi, and I think that he could have easily probably done that. And his death was anticlimactic in the next sequel, so I could easily see that. But what do you guys think?
Harrison Ford was tired, guys.
Harrison Ford was very tired. He didn't really like Han Solo. Han Solo was not he was not like of his roles that he's played out there. That's not one of his favorites.
No.
But what do you think about Star Wars making number 2 on this countdown? It's got to be valid, right?
Yeah, it's valid. It's valid considering that we know. I think everyone knows who's watching should know what's number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, in perspective, but
it's got Vin Diesel in it. I'll give you a hint.
It doesn't help.
I think actually a fun tie-in before we go on too long is that Harrison Ford actually was not the first to even be offered Han Solo. Nobody wanted him to play it either. It was Al Pacino. He was offered, but he declined. So who knows also what The Godfather would have looked like.
Wasn't Harrison Ford like a carpenter and they were like, hey, you, be Han Solo? And he's like, all right.
I think he was trying to be like a serious actor. He was very serious, and I think he thought that Han Solo was going to like ruin his career and no one would take him seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Well.
Goofy.
All right. Well, that leads us to number 1 in the countdown. Littlest Nella, you have number 1 for us. And what's number 1?
It is the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, the MCU is a franchise that goes beyond its films, with countless television tie-ins and a shared universe that has not been seen before, outside again of Alien vs. Predator, one of the only other shared universes we see. The MCU has truly changed the way that we see and enjoy cinema, rocking box offices and now with Spider-Man No Way Home, holding the top 3 total box office revenues and opening weekends for worldwide of all time. After nearly 2 decades, can y'all believe it's been that long, of watching everyone else make money on Marvel movies, but Marvel, thanks to the 90s sell-off of anyone willing to buy, thank you, Adi, Marvel has since made just shy of $25 million from their 28 MCU films so far in purely US profit. Originally inspired as a way to sell toys with what remained of the sold-off Marvel movie rights, Marvel looked at their remaining characters and said, who can get the most money? The vote was really held between Thor and Iron Man. Obviously, we know that Iron Man won in the rest is history, with a complex and established universe that seems to be the only thing pulling people into theaters anymore. Obviously, we owe all of this to the 1998 cinematic masterpiece that is Blade, but the reason that the MCU exists is because Marvel only made $25,000 off of Blade's $131 million global release. We owe all of this thanks to really, really shitty 90s execs just selling off movie rights. Can y'all imagine how big Blade was and they only made $25,000 and they're like, fuck, we gotta fix this. We gotta make an MCU. And now they have $25 million. Nuts.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Especially with how much money was invested into Blade. But honestly, I think that the way that they built it is the blueprint for how people will build cinematic universes from now on.
Yeah, make it like the comic books.
Yeah, you know, take. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, I mean, they did do a lot of adaptations to make things, you know, a better fit for reality, and I think that was, you know, where the MCU got a lot of its strengths from, and I think that they are the kind of the staple template to figure out how that's done from now on. When people try to translate comic book movies into movies, they look at the MCU. That's the go-to that's the standard. And being a part of Disney has only made that even better. I mean, most of these are Disney franchises when you look at it.
It's true.
So,
I think the MCU does this really, really cool thing where they've created a sense of FOMO where if you miss one and it has an impact on the other movies, then you've missed out on everything. And I think that's really genius. A few years ago, I got to talk with David Marquez at an opening for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and he talked about what it looks like now drawing for comics. He's an artist for Miles Morales' Spider-Man, and he talked about that it's very different now after the MCU writing for a comic, knowing that there's a possibility that your exact panel is going to make it onto a film, and that it changes the game behind the entire creation, which I thought was really cool.
That's like a lot of pressure.
Yeah. It's fun, but it's a lot when there's like Disney movie execs and Marvel movie execs like walking through your artist alley. So pretty neat.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and I mean, of course, Marvel would take it home. When we're talking about movie franchises, I mean, like Marvel Cinematic and the MCU, there's nothing that really compares to it.
It did have Vin Diesel in it. I wasn't.
It does have Vin Diesel in it. But this one, I was worried that a lot of people were gonna just consider this could just be part of the family, and but it wasn't. It was the MCU family. So
all for the family.
Yeah.
And speaking of all for the family, we do have one franchise that I know you all will miss, but it was disqualified for turf reasons, and that was the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Which, again, in case you don't know, it's not going to make the top of any of our lists. Not once. Not doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Rip. Pour one out for Harry Potter. It was
Fast and Furious franchise, but I understand why it was not included.
Yeah. We've disqualified things for Trump reasons before. We'll do it for turf reasons too. We don't care.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, that will wrap it up for this episode of Geek Life. We hope you've enjoyed everything today. And remember, if you want more Geek Life, you can always follow any of us on any of our personal socials. You can find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch at Roos Bane. Kev, where can they find you?
Utterly awesome.
And Littlest Nelly, where can they find you?
They can find me at Littlest Nelly. We're gonna throw in some really, really cool socials though. Look at the links. Look how cool we are.
Boom.
I can do chatbots. I can do it.
There you go. And big shout out to our moderator, Littlest Nelly, also live with us on show, the mod in the squad. And even bigger shout out to our producer, Cape, the man behind the screen, the man with a plan, the man without a plan. I don't know. Sometimes he's got a plan. The man that's making all of the giant kaijus and spaceships rocket around the city, for sure. Thank you so much for operating everything behind the scenes. And again, you can always be sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Facebook, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. We love to hear your interactions. We love to hear from you guys. Even if you just want to say, hey, like the show, or, Kev's hair is crazy, or Littlest Nelly's hair is ridiculous with that color. Either way, if you want to say stuff, argue with us, comment about our hair, just be sure to do so in those comment sections. We'd love to hear from you. That's about all the bullshit I can spew out. You guys got anything else? Yeah?
Stay hydrated and Happy New Year.
Stay hydrated and Happy New Year. There you go.
And mask up. It's time. Sorry.
And mask up. We will be back in probably 2 weeks with our season finale. And we'll be then away for a little while. So be sure to catch that live on Twitch The rest will be out on YouTube in the days to come. Catch you guys next time. Peace. See you later.
Peace.